Did PBC and Showtime matchmakers fail Jaron Ennis and Rashidi Ellis? What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. All right, so this past weekend, Rashidi Ellis took a loss, and Boots Ennis basically had to chase his opponent around the ring for 12 rounds. And I think a lot of fans are a little disgruntled and disappointed in the matchmaking for those fights. And I think they feel like, for lack of a better word, that PBC and Showtime should have done a better job matching up those two fighters. But I look at it like this. When you think about Jaron Ennis, man, and you think about his opponent, you have to look at it from this standpoint. Boxing is a sport, and there are different ways to display your athletic abilities. In boxing, I think sometimes people get caught up in the orthodox or the mundane way of doing things, or the everyday way that people do it. Do it this way because that guy did it this way, or you got to be great like Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan was great, so you got to do it like him. But there are different ways to do everything. People feel like Kobe was a better player than Jordan, but he basically emulated everything that Jordan did and turned it into multiple championships. Now, could you say that it was because of him emulating Jordan that he was able to pull that off, or could you say that it was his natural athletic ability? The same thing goes for LeBron James. LeBron James kind of did it his way. He doesn't have the natural abilities of Michael Jordan. Like, he doesn't do it exactly like Jordan. He can jump and and he can get rebounds and all that type of stuff, but he doesn't have the natural showmanship, if you ask me, of a Michael Jordan. And he wasn't able to parlay that into multiple championships the way Jordan and Kobe was. But he was able to pull it off in his own way. Everybody has their own way of doing it. And I think people can sometimes get caught up in, well, everybody else did it this way, so you got to do it this way. But when it comes to Jaron Ennis' opponent, he's the perfect example of there's a different way to do everything. Now, his way didn't win him the fight, but his way was able to keep him from getting knocked out by a guy with a knockout ratio that is through the roof. And I think that was their game plan. And he proved that, even though you might not beat your opponent, you don't always got to get beat to sleep. There's a different way of approaching everything. And to be all the way honest with you, he kind of exposed something for a more talented fighter than him. If they can incorporate a little bit more movement the way that he did, along with a little bit more punching power, that is the way to beat Jaron Ennis, if you ask me. I think he was able to expose that by moving around the ring so much. He was able to get Boots to follow him. Does that mean that Boots is not a good fighter, or that Boots somehow would get beat by Errol, Spence, or Terence Crawford if they were to get in the ring with each other? Absolutely not. What that means is that Boots just wasn't prepared for someone to have that high of a motor for that long, and that's something he needs to tighten up before he does get into the ring with someone like Errol, Spence, or Terence Crawford. So he should be happy that was exposed to him at this point in his career, because it could definitely been a detriment to his career later on. And take nothing away from Karen, his opponent. He put together a good game plan, so you have to commend him for coming there with the right game plan. Not everybody wants to be a sparring dummy and get knocked through the mat. Some of those guys want to go in there and prove that there are different ways of fighting. There are different ways of engaging within this combat sport, and we don't all have to be punching dummies, for a lack of a better word. But I don't feel like that's PBC's fault at all that they put him in there with someone that would do that. I think it was actually a good idea, because once again, it exposed what Boots needs to fix in training, so that if he does ever get a fight with Errol Spence or Terence Crawford, or whenever he does fight for a championship, none of those things come up during the fight, and he doesn't have to try to work through them during the fight. He will already be prepared for them. When it comes to Rashidi Ellis, man, you cannot be mad at PBC for putting on a good fight, man. That was one of the greatest fight cards perhaps of this year and maybe for the next couple of years. There was so much star power in that card, and there were so many action-packed fights in that card. Maybe not the Boots fight, but you know, Boots' fight was entertaining in a different way because it got to showcase skill sets, you know, and you got to watch a cat and mouse game, which you don't always get to watch in the sport of boxing. And they got to show off different skills for both fighters. But the Rashidi Ellis fight was a knockout, drag-out fight. And for anybody mad at PBC for putting that fight together, listen, Rashidi Ellis was winning for I can't remember if it was a 10-round or a 12-round fight, but he was winning up until the last 2 rounds of the fight. You know, even if it was a 10 or a 12-round fight, he was winning the whole fight all the way up until that point. You can't get mad because his opponent was able to withstand everything that Rashidi Ellis could throw at him. Rashidi Ellis gassed out. His opponent had, 2 more rounds left in the tank. You know, that goes to boxing ability. Everybody does it different. Rashidi Ellis was good for 8 rounds, and he could throw those flurries and combinations and keep dude off him for 8 rounds. But after those 8 rounds, he ran out of gas, and dude showed his gas tank and his boxing ability and was able to knock Rashidi Ellis down twice and just make it an all-out entertaining fight. I mean, what more could you want from that? You know, if you're a Rashidi Ellis fan, you should be happy that he got tested, man, and he got a good fight in there, so people got to see all of his skill sets. You didn't just get to see him dominate somebody. You got to see him in a knockout, drag-out fight, and now everybody's going to want to see that rematch to see if he can avenge what happened to him. So it was the perfect setup. This is what you should want from sports. You shouldn't want your fighter to always be the most dominant guy in the ring, because that's not entertaining. There's no rewatchability to that. You want rewatchability to all your fights. You want some back and forth. You want a good fight. And I think people are going to want to go back and watch that fight over again because it was that good. So don't be mad at PBC for matching him up that way. Just say that Rashidi Ellis got a few more things to work on before he's going to hit that next level. But there was nothing in that fight that you could point to and say that, well, he failed at that. No, he didn't fail because he ran out of gas. He just didn't expect his opponent to go that long. So if he goes into training and trains to add those last 2 rounds onto his stamina, he's going to dominate dude next time, because he was dominating for the whole fight up until the last 2 rounds. So I don't think PBC or Showtime failed with their matchmaking on this one. Now, I'm not too happy with PBC and this Thurman Spence fight. This is basically for some money. And, I'm not too keen on that. I could have a few things to say about that. But when it comes to that Gervonta Davis fight card and the way that they matched up everybody, it was perfection. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment section below. Hit that like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. More than likely to get a response on the tube, so holler at me over there. If you want to collabo, hit my Gmail, flaccocards@gmail.com. And we are
niggas outside, they slanging that ride. Chicks on the side, they slanging that. Nigga like me, they making CDs. Chicken making money, they breathing up. I said everybody gotta get paid. I said everybody gotta get paid. I said everybody gotta get paid. I can't hate you, dog. Get your pay. Hey yo, I came up. Louisville, West End, nigga, 22nd Street today. And ain't nobody really paved the way. So I'm out here struggling, trying to make my way. I see lax, bourbons, nigga, North's watch. At the same time, I'm smoking on a talk stop. I'm thinking of his ways to get my bread in. But now it's a dead end, and plus I got dead friends. And my people just got out of that pen. Yeah, I should've wrote him, but you know how that is. Niggas see me rolling, cops pull me over and they mad it ain't stolen. Money be folding. You know I'm trying to rescue my nieces and my nephews, put them in a prep school. I suggest you approach respectful. I'm all about them big checks, dude.
Niggas outside, they slangin' that ride. Chicks on the side, they slangin' that. Nigga like me, they making seeds. Chicks making money, they breathe. I know, everybody gotta get paid.